He knows exactly where his body is. And he's had over 5 years to tell us that. But you got to be a really evil person. Should be in Vegas at a poker tournament somewhere right now. Think about it. He was in my son's shadow.
And always will be. I am remanding you, sir, for 600 months to 1,200 months. The court has read both, and the motion is denied for multiple reasons. It addresses prosecutorial misconduct. The court saw none of that. Had I seen that during the trial, I would have addressed it immediately. Additionally, as to jurors, we watched jurors very closely, and again, we saw no juror misconduct as alleged, and there's also arguments about defendants' lack of objecting to some prosecutor's statements. Again, that doesn't violate the standards, and there are, I saw no errors. So it's denied. So you had a jury trial, and you were convicted of homicide, murder, second degree, punishable life to life. Do you recall that, sir?
Yes.
All right.
He's currently credited with no credit because of the dead time issue, because he was on parole at the time. And I can find no statutory or case law that would support this position. Therefore, I don't feel that I can ethically make it myself. But Mr. James wishes me to bring this issue to the court's attention and preserve it, and I told him that I would do so on his behalf. And I believe his argument is that he was essentially ready to be off or discharged from parole, and he was kept on there for another month while this matter was being investigated but not yet charged, and he was charged with it the following month, and therefore he believes that he should be entitled to the credit that he has served while this case is pending because of that. Again, my reading of the statutory and case law does not support that, but he wished me to make that challenge on his own behalf, and I told him I would do so.
We want the court to consider some of the facts of this case. Consider, Your Honor, how much blood was inside of that vehicle. Blood that had soaked into the seats and all the way down into the rails of the front passenger seat. Blood that had soaked into the back carpet so densely that the defendant had to remove that carpet to avoid detection. Blood that was so soaked and throughout that vehicle even after 2 professional cleanings. And what does that tell us, Your Honor? That this is a massive homicidal, lethal event that this defendant with a prior murder conviction perpetrated on this man inside of his car. No legitimate rehabilitative potential. At 57 years old, this defendant has now amassed his 17th criminal conviction, 10 felonies and 7 misdemeanors. 2 of those felonies are for murder. The defendant has served 2 lengthy terms in the Department of Corrections, and neither of them have rehabilitated him or educated him or helped him develop any empathy or deterred him from his antisocial and violent homicidal behavior. A defendant who has already served a 10-year commitment in the Department of Corrections for murder in another state, then waits another 10 years and murders somebody in our community. I want you to think about that. Most people go through their life, Your Honor, managing not to murder anyone, let alone 2 people. And if they have the good fortune to be released and to get out of one murder conviction after a lengthy term of incarceration to come back into our community and commit another homicide, that indicates to us, Your Honor, that this is an unrehabilitatable, violent, and homicidal individual that stands before you. And
I appreciate this court. I appreciate you, the prosecutors, for all you've done to get justice for my son and our family. But for Willie James, I just hope he rests in here where he should be, because there's no reason, even though I never thought about killing a person, but what's the purpose of throwing that body away? That's not just hurting that person, you're hurting the whole family. Because now we don't have that closure of burying my son. And he knows exactly where his body is. And he's had over 5 years to tell us that. But you got to be a really evil person to think that's not relevant. Or if they don't have a body, then they can't prosecute me. And then turn everything around in the end. He could have told everything he said this year, he could have said it in 2021. He could have told us where the body was when we was looking for the body, when we didn't even know my son was deceased. So I just think he's a really evil person. And I hope he gets everything that he deserves. Because he do not deserve to be a free man, to walk the streets in the city that we live in. Because I've never heard nobody say nothing good or positive on his behalf ever. Especially in the past 5 years. I never met a person like that. Never want to meet a person like that. So he can rest with his father Satan for the rest of his life and after. Should be in Vegas at a poker tournament somewhere right now. Let's make that. Think about it. He was in my son's shadow. He could never shine as long as my son was around. So in his devious mind, he thought maybe if I get rid of him, then I can be on top. I can shine. He's still in his shadow.
And always will be. Your history says it all, as does these actions, as does the mountain of evidence against you, sir. While you maintain your innocence, it is not to be believed. It is incredible testimony, as we say, which is not to be believed. The amount of blood, the amount of effort you went through to hide your crime is something this court rarely sees. And I've seen a lot. And I've seen people try to hide a lot of things. But what you did, tossing away evidence that fortunately was found and turned over, cleaning the cupboard, not once, but twice, disposing of an entire human being without a trace, that takes some planning and a forethought. That takes some knowledge. You have the history that shows that you have worked up to this crime, that you're not worthy of being rehabilitated. That instead of talking, you use a gun. Your second homicide. And in between that, a lot of violent crimes. You haven't learned your lesson. This court does not believe that you will ever be rehabilitated in this lifetime. We cannot tolerate any more gun violence in this community over anything, unless it's self-defense, and there is absolutely no evidence that what you did was done in self-defense. And if it would have been done in self-defense, you dial 911, you know how to do that. And you call police and let them do their investigation. But what you did is you hid the evidence because it was against you. You tried to clean it up. And you hid the body from the family. I hope that in the years that come, as you're locked up, you find it in your heart to reveal to the family where their loved one is. They deserve that. And it is only a cold-hearted, inhumane person who will continue to hide their loved one from them. In order to protect society, we absolutely must keep our communities safe by making sure that your antisocial behavior, the violence, you are kept behind bars. I am remanding you, sir, to the Michigan Department of Corrections for 600 months to 1,200 months. That's 50 years to 100 years. I believe that is proportional to the homicide, to the hiding of the body, to the long-term criminal mindset that you've had that continues not to diminish, but to escalate. There's no credit because you were on parole. You will pay a crime victims assessment amount of $130. And waiving fines, costs, attorney fees because you are indigent. You'll pay a $68 day cost, and I'm holding in advance the cost of the funeral and/or celebration of life. And that money will be paid to Andrew and Otella Watson, his parents. They deserve, at a minimum, that. While you are incarcerated, you should go through cognitive behavioral treatment. You should go through mental health treatment. And any other treatment for the antisocial behavior, so that in prison you don't cause someone else harm.